What is up, everybody? As you can see, it is Best of the West, and I am Jake Thomas, alongside with Stacey Blackwood. Stacey, man, how you doing tonight, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. How about you, Jake?
Man, I'm doing great. Tonight, guys, you see up there at the top, we're going to talk about the Final Four. It is set now. All four Blue Bloods. Sorry, Auburn. Too bad you couldn't join the Blue Blood meeting. But anyway, we got some overtime rule changes in the NFL. We'll discuss a little bit, and of course, off the rails, and we might touch on the slap her around the world. And everybody knows what we're talking about. We may just talk about that off the rails, but anyway, of course, the chat is active. Get in here and get that chat rolling. And if you have any comments or questions, we'll be glad to answer those while we're talking as well. But we'll move right on. Stacey, Final Four set. Honestly, to me, the side that's got Kansas and Villanova, that didn't really surprise me. What did surprise me is UNC, how they have had a run here in Duke. I kind of had a feeling they was going to play hard for Coach K since his last season. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But UNC, they've been playing inspired here lately. What's your thoughts and how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's not really that surprising to see Villanova and Kansas there on
Mm-hmm.
that side of the bracket. But then, like you said, North Carolina's really been one of the surprises of the entire tournament. And uh, great job by Hubert Davis, their head coach, taking over for Roy Williams, another legendary coach who stepped aside. And now Coach K is in his final season. He's kind of making his final tour in the NCAA tournament, and he's found himself back in the Final Four, where he's been a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
times in the past with a chance to win it all. So he'll definitely go on a high note if he wins it all. It'd be the kind of a bookend finish for him there. But I'm with you. North Carolina is really the surprise of this tournament. If you think about it, other than what St. Peter's did,
Right.
you could make the argument that North Carolina had the best run in the tournament.
Absolutely. And the way that North Carolina just handled St. Peter's, I mean, and I watched a lot of that game Sunday, but St. Peter's, they was trying to go to the basket. I understand that, but the length that
Right.
that North Carolina had on them guys down low, they couldn't get anything rolling. But that was St. Peter's offense. So, they drive the basket and then they try to kick it out once and then everything starts falling. But it just didn't work out. North Carolina was really good. And what was the white guy on North Carolina that was the 3-point that had a awesome game. That
Yeah,
Manic, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Brady
Yeah,
Manic.
yeah. He was lights out in that game. It was
Yeah,
kind of tough.
it's tough for St. Peter's. I mean, there's only
Hmm.
so much you can do when you match up with that kind of athleticism and skill that
Yeah,
North Carolina had and their size. It's hard once you reach that deep into the tournament to continue to pull out those upset victories like they had done, previously in the tournament, like over Purdue and beating Kentucky. So that they beat a lot of really good teams on
yeah.
their way to the Elite Eight, but North Carolina has been on a mission, really
Hmm.
since the ACC tournament, and they got hot at the right time. And we talked about that all season with
Oh
with,
yeah,
with teams around the SEC. It's all about getting hot at the right time, and North Carolina is as hot as any team in the country.
yeah. They are playing really really well right now, and honestly, both games are going to be exciting and fun. But man, that Duke UNC matchup, just because of the rivalry,
Right. Yep. It's
that
been the
yeah,
rivalry, the fact that it's Coach K's last
yeah,
season, the fact that Hubert
Final
Davis
Four,
is just taking over for Roy Williams, another legendary coach. Kind of just it
yeah,
makes it, just like it's a Cinderella story of itself. Really,
yeah.
it's like a movie script. So we'll see how that all plays out. And I'm looking at these two matchups, Jake, and at the beginning of the tournament, I picked Kansas to win it all. I just felt like this was kind of their year. No real reason. I wouldn't say they've been the best team all year long, but I just felt like this was kind of their season to win it. So obviously, I like them against Villanova. I do think it's going to be a tight game. I think Kansas is around a 4-point favorite.
Yeah.
I think Duke is around a 4.5 over UNC. And right now, if I had to make my picks for those two games, I would probably go Kansas and Duke. So what a national championship game that would be.
Yeah, you got Bill Self versus Coach K. I mean, what a fantastic matchup. But again, UNC, if they get past and put Coach K out, you have a brand new, pretty much coach in the upcoming ranks, and has his guys, and it's his first season there.
Right, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and the NCAA tournament. So that'd be something to look forward to as well. Villanova, I've got like 4 different brackets, and in one of my brackets, I've actually got Villanova to win. But after that injury to one of their star players, tearing his Achilles, I believe the other night, it just seems like the winds have just left the sails a little bit. So I think Kansas will probably come out on top in that bracket on that region, and then I do see Duke, pulling it out. And then what a moment for Coach K, coaching his final, NCAA championship game pretty much. So it's going to be a lot of storylines if that's the case that comes out. Here I think both teams play Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, both games are Saturday. I think the first one, I think Kansas and Villanova tip
Hmm.
off around 5:30 or so,
Hmm.
and on TBS, and then after that game, of course, Duke and North Carolina will tip off there. So around 5:30 and 8 o'clock or so, I believe, are the times. But definitely look forward to that. The Final Four is such a wonderful event. I mean, you think about what all these teams have went through, playing over 30 plus games in the season now.
Yeah.
So, they're really finding out who they are. You look at the teams that have, great leadership. We talk about it in football, we can talk about it in basketball as well. The best teams in the country are player led. And
Hmm.
so when you have great leadership within the locker room from the players on the court, in this instance, then you have a great shot at winning it all. And all 4 of these teams really embody that. You look at what Bill Self has built at Kansas, what Jay Wright has done at Villanova. Of course, we know Mike Krzyzewski is one of the greatest coaches of all time at Duke, and now Hubert Davis is putting his stamp on this North Carolina program, a
Yeah.
program that he played at and cares about and loves. So, just a really intriguing Final Four, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
Absolutely. You just mentioned it like I did just a few minutes ago, but you have 4 or 3 established coaches, veteran coaches who have been in this spotlight before, and then you have the newcomer who this is all new to him. So, you know, I don't envision Bill Self or Jay Wright. They're still fairly young, so I don't see them retiring within the next 10 years. But I do expect to see some of these younger coaches, getting into the Final Four. I mean, I do expect Nate Oates to carry Alabama to the Final Four within the next couple of seasons. There's just a lot of young coaches out there that are up and coming that can be in this spotlight in the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's like you said, there's a lot of really good young
Hmm.
coaches. It's crazy seeing coaches like Roy Williams last season,
Hmm.
ending his career. Now Matt Krzyzewski's ending his career. Guys that we grew up with
Oh
watching
yeah.
and seeing them win championships, and now they're
Mhm.
they're on their way out, riding off into the sunset. But now it's time for the newer guys. I think Jay Wright's around 60 years old.
Okay,
Uh,
so
yeah, Bill Self is. Yeah, Jay Wright doesn't look 60, but
right.
I think he's about 60 years old. Bill Self is in his 50s. Hubert
Hmm.
Davis is around 55. So, all 3 of the, basketball is a little bit different than football. You can coach in that game a little bit longer. It's not
Hmm.
quite as, rough on you as what football is. But, yeah, like you mentioned, 3 established coaches and the 1 new guy on the block.
Hmm.
So, it's going to be a fun Final Four.
Absolutely, a lot of headlines coming out for this week and after the games. Of course, will be out Sunday because there'll be a lot of talk on the matchup once those 2 games are played. But you got anything else you want to add about basketball in general or the Final Four or
No,
anything?
no, for Alabama basketball fans that are watching this,
Hmm.
around 8 o'clock tonight is the McDonald's All-American game. You'll get to
Yeah.
see 2 Alabama signees in Brandon Miller and Jaden Bradley. So a lot to be excited about there. Both those guys are, either 1 or 2 at their position in the entire country. 5-star prospects that'll be playing at Alabama. for head coach Nate Oates next season. So there's a lot to be excited about there. You're probably going to see a much different Alabama team in the
Yes.
2022-2023 season than what you saw this past season from the Tide. So a lot to look for there.
Yeah.
That's on ESPN tonight around 8 o'clock.
Absolutely. And talking about a different team, man, they are hitting the portal hard, which
Yeah, they
I
are.
don't
Yeah.
I don't blame them one bit, So but moving on, we did have a new rule change that come in effect. I think coming in effect today that they signed off on it, and that's the NFL. It's the overtime rule, Stacey. What the new rule is saying here is that it's only in the playoffs too. This is what kind of strange to me, but we'll talk about it. But the overtime rule is if you win the coin toss, you get the ball first if you want the ball first, and you go down and score. The old ways was if you scored a touchdown, the game's over. Or if you only got a field goal, then the other team had a chance to either kick a field goal, tie it, or score a touchdown. Now, both teams will be able to get a possession in the overtime rule and only in the playoffs. And this is all stemming from, the Bills versus the Chiefs last year in the playoffs, where the Bills had all the freaking momentum and lost the coin toss and their season's over. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it just rolls like that. So honestly, I'm okay with it. I just wish they kind of would have made it in the regular season as well, because I mean, you lose an overtime game in the NFL
Right.
in the regular season, that could put you out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't understand that part of it. I
I
mean,
don't
if it's
either.
if they think it's a good rule for the playoffs, why is it not a good rule for the regular season?
I know,
I mean, that
yeah,
makes zero sense. That
it
that
does.
shows how people in leadership lack, you know, awareness or just understanding of common sense practices.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
like you said, there's several occasions throughout the season where games go into overtime and can be decided in overtime,
Hmm.
and then that could decide a team's playoff berth or not.
Exactly.
So I don't get why they're just moving it to the postseason, but I guess it is what it is. It's great that each team is gonna have the same amount of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it goes back to my common sense thing. How can they think that was a good rule to begin with?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what
Uh,
what planet are they on?
I don't know. I mean, the team who wins the coin toss, all they got to do is score a touchdown, the game's over. And the other team was like, "What the crap? It's not fair for us." And I'm
Yeah.
glad. I mean, it took all these freaking years to get it to change, but but I know it. Granted, it is just the playoffs. We still got to work on the regular season though. But at least both teams are going to get an equal opportunity.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the college overtime rules are perfect, but the college overtime rules is much better than the NFL.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how they can have such bad overtime rules, but they're pathetic. And I mean, I guess the playoff version is going to be a little better, but
Right.
it's still not what it needs to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I talked about when I was opening this up, how teams when they won the coin toss, they pretty much wanted the ball because if they score, they win. Now you may see teams who win the coin toss go on defense first, because if you're going to hold them to a field goal, then you give your ball back to the offense, and all they've got to do is score a touchdown, and the game's over. So there's going to be a lot more, I guess, cat and mouse game type.
Yeah, what it does is it removes the importance of the coin toss,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I mean, to me, that the coin toss should not. I mean, that should not have any kind of effect on the outcome of a game. And I know you can say, well, the defense has got to make a stop, sure, but
Hmm.
I mean, you have to be able to give both teams a
Yeah.
chance to score, and the fact that it's taken them this long just shows how incompetent the rule makers are, in my opinion. I mean, like,
Mhm.
they further show their incompetence by saying, "Well, this rule is good for the playoffs, but not for the regular season."
Exactly. Oh, got our first comment. What's up, guys? From Jared. That's my brother. What's going on, Jared? Glad to have you on here. We're talking about the NFL rule. I'm sure you probably fixing to go to bed here in about 20 minutes. I know you get up early. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a change. It's a step in the right direction, maybe. There's still a lot that needs to be worked on. But like you said, the NCAA overtime rule is not the best either. I hope have they decided to get rid of the after 3 overtimes they put it at the 2 yard line and go for 2 point conversions? Is
I
that
haven't
better?
I haven't heard anything on that, but yeah,
That
that's kind of
is
ridiculous.
that needs to be eradicated and never brought back again. I mean, that is god awful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
stupid.
don't know I don't know how they come up with these rules or what their kind of parameters are when it comes to overtime in
Hmm.
both college football and the NFL. I mean, what are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to negate from happening? Like, are they trying to limit the amount of plays for each team, or I mean, what are their criteria
Right.
for setting these rules? Because I'm with you. The overtime thing where you got to go for 2 point conversions only after three
That's
overtimes is ludicrous.
yeah.
Um, uh,
I mean,
because then it really goes down to which team has the best 2 point conversion team. I mean
right.
that's not what football is. So
No.
uh, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that's it. I'm not sure starting at the 25 is the best answer either because you're pretty
Right.
much eliminating a part of the game and special teams.
Hmm.
Uh, you're eliminating the possibility of a block punt or a fake punt or a punt return for a touchdown. So you're taking some playmakers off of the field when you eliminate those types of things. So I'm not sure what the actual um, answer is to all this, but
Hmm.
I'm not saying you should go play another quarter of regular football because that's just too much for both professional and college athletes. So I know it's not something that everybody can agree on, but there's got to be something that's better than what we have currently in both systems, both the NFL and college football.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Um, on SEC After Dark, it's been about a couple months now, but something about the overtime rule about the NCAA come up, and I suggested that I would like to see. I know you just say you didn't like the 25 yard line, but if both teams start at the 25, both of them score, push them back another 15 yards, push them back to the 50 then, and make both teams go 50 yards that away. And if the first team that like the team that goes on offense after you push them back to the 50, if they got a punt, well, there you go. Now you have your chance of a block punt or an amazing punt return for the opposite team. So, like you said, you're taking some playmakers off the field when you start the 25. So and if you don't get any yardage, I mean, 25 yards field goal is still pretty rough, but I mean, but trying to kick a field goal at the 40 is a lot tougher. So you got to make it more of a challenge. Are you going to have these games that's going to go 7, 8, 9 overtimes?
Yeah.
you know
Well, and what they have to remember is overtime games
hey,
are
Jordan.
kind of few and far between anyway. So, like,
Right.
maybe it's best if we don't really overthink it because overtime is kind of rare if we're being honest. I mean,
It is.
I'm not sure how many college football games, what percentage of college football games every year go into overtime, but I would imagine it's a pretty small percent. So,
I agree.
so maybe not overthink these overtime rules. Kind of keep it simple,
Yeah.
But uh, I just feel like on the new NFL rule change, if it was good enough for the playoffs, why is it not good enough for the regular season? Makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. Uh, it's just I don't really know what to even think about it.
I mean, that's my only gripe with it. I'm
Yeah,
glad that the other team is getting a shot,
right.
but you've
Well,
got to
like you
have
said,
that in
yeah.
the regular season too.
It's going to happen. Eventually, a team is going to miss out on the playoffs because they haven't changed the overtime rules
Yep.
in the regular season yet, like to match the rules of the playoffs.
And that's going to be another discussion. Then that's going to have lead another a rule change. Just do it all at one time. Be done with it. I
Right.
just don't understand. You know.
I would be willing to bet in 5 years it'll be in the regular season too.
Yeah. Heck, it might not even be that long.
Yep.
We may have this rule in before we have a playoff expansion in the NCAA.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
I would probably be willing to take that bet. Yeah.
Probably so. I think comes in the next 3 years, and you're probably looking at least 5 to 6 for the playoff expansion. So
Yeah.
you know, but anyway, anything else you want to add on the
No, that's pretty much it. I've kind of said my piece on the overtime situations.
yeah. We didn't really look much at the combine, but I just want to say real quick, the Alabama boys, look really good, and I think some of them helped their draft stock. I think our pro day is coming up
It's
here in a few
tomorrow.
days. Tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
okay. So there's another chance for the guys to step up big time. Evan Neal, he's probably he should be the number one overall pick, but he ain't going to fall out of the top three. I'm pretty sure of that. So
Yeah, well, the mock drafts are starting to place him down to around 5 or 6 to either the Giants or the Panthers, and, a lot
both
can
need
change.
help.
Yeah, a lot can change over the next month. It's still 30 days away from the first round of the draft, so a lot can change because there's more pro days. There's
Right.
probably gonna be some trades, some different free agent signings, so a lot
Hmm.
can change between now and then, so uh, mock drafts are just mock drafts. They don't really mean anything. They're just, for clickbait is really all it is.
Right.
Um, but I could see Evan Neal being anywhere inside. He's going to be in the top 10. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. And I would be willing to bet he's within the top 5 because there's not too many 6'7" and a half, 330-pound dudes that look like him, that move like him, and that can play football as good as him. So, I mean, he was really an All-American talent at right guard, at right tackle, and then at left
Hmm.
tackle in his final season in Tuscaloosa. So you look at a guy that can play the
Hmm.
entire offensive line pretty much. I bet if you wanted to play center, he could probably pick that up and play that as well. So
Yep.
you're looking at a guy who I think is a future Pro Bowler and could be a really great NFL football player.
I agree 100%. And depending on how everything plays out tomorrow, Brian Robinson, he's looking like, to me personally, he could sneak in that second round and a late second talent potentially.
I
Um,
would be surprised if he's drafted
mhm.
in the second round. Running backs are just not priority anymore.
No, they're
Uh,
not. You're right.
and there's a few guys above him like Kareem Walker, Brees Hall, James Cook. Zamir White. There's a few that are looking like they're probably and possibly ahead of him. He did run a really good time at the NFL Combine. I think a 4.53, which is a really great
Yeah.
time for a guy that's over 6'2", almost 230 pounds. So he had a really good showing at the combine, and I'm really happy for him because he's a guy who doesn't really get a lot of love. But I think he's going to make
Mhm.
an NFL team happy. I'm looking probably around the 4th round range, in my opinion. But like I said, anything can happen. He
Right.
works out great tomorrow. I mean, who knows? He could move up to the second round. You just never know with these
You
guys. You
never
never,
know.
and all it takes is one team to fall in love with you. I mean,
That's
like,
right.
like you said, the 49ers fall in love with Brian Robinson tomorrow. They got a second round pick. You know what? Hey, we're going to take Brian Robinson here.
That's right.
So,
And
all it takes is that one team that falls in love with you, and you're on your way.
that's right. So, a lot to look forward to. I think the draft is in June
No,
or
no, no.
April. April, ain't it?
It's in 30 days.
Yeah, it's April.
April 28th is the first is the first round.
I don't know why I always get it and the NBA draft mixed up, but I always do because I think the NBA draft's like in June or something like
Yeah,
that.
most
But
of the time it is. Yes.
yeah, but anyway, that a lot to look forward to there. But before we get off here, we're gonna go off the rails a little bit. I'm sure everybody saw, as I coined beginning of the show, the slap her around the world. My question to you, Stacey, do you think it was all set up just for like a stunt to get more viewership to the Oscars? Because everybody's still talking about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't watch it, obviously. I just
I didn't
seen
either.
the
I
stuff
just
on Twitter about it and that when it started exploding, but that's always possible.
mhm,
Um, I guess I don't think it was personally. I think it was actually legit.
mhm.
And we can go back and forth on the whys and why nots of what happened, but uh my thoughts are pretty simple. Uh when a comedian is on stage, he's gonna make
Yeah,
jokes.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a
That
joke.
yeah, that could have been Dave Chappelle up there. He would have said, this, I
Well,
mean,
if it'd been
joke.
Dave Chappelle up there, Will Smith been laying on his
Yeah,
back, I
well, that's
guarantee
true.
it.
That's true too. Yeah. So it's kind of we're not going to talk about the other issues that have been the elephant in the room about them about
Oh my
Smith
god! I
and
mean, that's
yeah
what I mean. Like they act like they got some kind of great marriage when
yeah
when obviously
yeah
they.
yeah
I mean,
that's
like you said, we don't want to dive too deep, but give me a
yeah
break. Quit acting
I
like y'all
know
are some kind of star couple who
right
are the perfect image of marriage. I mean,
I
give me a
know
break.
yeah that's that they do not scream like you said power couple or star couple and
I
no
mean, good grief.
I'm not going to take any marriage advice from them, that's for
Well,
sure.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
and
so
go up and slap a guy for
yeah,
making a joke.
a joke because he's a comedian.
A comedian made a joke, and you were surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
So,
grief.
a lot of people was talking about, when he was walking up, Chris may have thought that he was actually going to lean in and say something because they was talking about he had his hands behind his back and he leaned in. Who knows? But I think what happened. I mean, what happened happened.
Yeah.
But as you said, a comedian made a joke, and it's a joke for one.
Yep.
Get over it. I mean,
Yep.
you and Will Smith actually laughed at it before he turned around, looked at his
At
wife,
Jada, yeah.
yeah, and was like, oh, and then he tried to be big and bad and show out, and then what he said afterwards, it's just, it's just kind of odd, you know. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it real quick.
It's a bunch
Um,
of garbage.
yeah, that's why I don't watch anything
Me either. I
dealing
mean,
with the Oscars.
who wants to watch that kind of trash?
No, but one of the questions I had was how they having an Oscar show when there was no movies that got released last year. There was like 2 or 3 movies all year, and they're having this big award show on. And some of them, I'm like, what movies released last year?
Look, and just so everybody knows, I have nothing against Will Smith. The Fresh Prince of Bel Air was one of my favorite shows
Dude,
growing up,
yeah,
and he's done other great work as well. Men in Black and
mm-hmm.
I Am Legend. I mean, he has a lot of great stuff. He is a phenomenal actor, but he did not handle
Yes,
that well at all. I
no,
mean, if you can't take one joke, a joke, I remind
yeah,
you, a joke from a comedian
yes,
whose job is to entertain the people on this while he's on stage.
mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, sounds like you need to grow up.
Yeah, it's definitely needs to be some intervention there, for his marriage too, and all that. But you was talking about Fresh Prince of Bel Air. He's got the new, he's doing called Bel Air, the new show that he is, I guess, producing, but it's pretty much him growing up and all that. I hadn't seen it yet. I've heard it was really good though. But yeah, I loved him in Men in Black. He like you said, he Suicide Squad when he was Deadshot, he did really good in it. I loved it. Loved his character in it. He's a great actor. We're not harping on him. It's just like Stacey said, he just kind of didn't handle it in the best way. I feel like that's something that after the show, maybe, or maybe when the cameras go off, you go backstage and say, hey,
Exactly.
look, just
Right.
I didn't like that.
Just for future reference, I don't like that joke, and please don't do that again.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure Chris Rock been fine with it. So it is what happened happened, and there's going to be a lot more discussed, but I'm done talking about it. I'm ready to move on. So, but anyway, Stacey, you got anything else you want to add before we get off here?
No, man, I'm good. I'm excited about the Final Four this weekend.
Yeah,
Just I'm sad the college basketball season is ending, but it gives us something else to look forward to once it ends. So a lot that can happen in this Final Four. And like I said, I'm going with Kansas to win it all. I don't know who you got. I can't remember who you said you got, but I got Kansas winning it all. But it wouldn't surprise me if Duke gets another one as Coach K
yeah.
exits. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and Cassidy, apparently I told you she was cooking. She dropped a bunch of salt on the floor, so I guess I need to go see what happened there. But yeah, it's going to be a great Final Four. One quick note I want to make real quick, especially all of our Alabama and Mississippi listeners. We got some bad weather coming in tomorrow, especially West Alabama. That includes Tuscaloosa. That's where the highest threat's going to be. So everybody be weather aware. Ever since the April, 27, 2011 tornadoes, I have been a weather nut. I keep an eye on it. So just please, I don't want, anybody to, for starters, I don't want any loss of life. And I hope there's nothing major that comes out of this. But if there is, please watch, and keep up with it. So, and stay safe, everybody. But
Yeah, no doubt, man. Excited. Yeah,
mhm.
Cassie says softball's winning big time right now. So
Yes.
let's
Go
jump off
girls.
here and finish watching that
Yeah,
game.
absolutely. So, guys, thank you for joining us. This is Best of the West. I am Jake Thomas. That is Stacey Blackwood. Guys, I appreciate it. We thank you and good night.
Good night, guys.